What it do, bruh? Talk of the town, Nintendo, Doc Trey still holding it down, still make the best games, and you know this, bro. It's the truth. If you don't like it, you can have that seatbelt.
Alright, so this is going to be a very long video. Pretty much a podcast style, no edit, live video, okay? Going to be discussing the Nintendo Directs. And like I said, this video is going to be very long, so for all you guys that complain about my videos being too short, remember you asked for this because this is going to be very freaking long. So yeah. So there was a Nintendo Direct Mini, Super Mini, today. It was only 10 minutes long, and there was like one new announcement the entire thing, and people that were fans of the game that was announced, they're happy, and everyone else pretty much isn't. Now, the thing with these Nintendo Directs, they have a varying degree of content and quality. And they called it a Nintendo Direct Mini for a reason. But they've also had minis that were just a little bit longer and had way more new announcements, even though a lot of those were leaked ahead of time. But that's not Nintendo's fault. So a lot of people were very disappointed with this Nintendo Direct Mini. Here's the thing, though. If you guys follow a lot of the Nintendo insiders or the Nintendo people that get information early, you'll notice that none of them said or heard anything about this Direct Mini. Now, if you think about it, it's probably a reason for that. It's probably because it wasn't really worth telling. And give you a word of advice. If none of the people, and I'm talking none of the people that you know that are insiders that get information, Nintendo information early, and have proven to get it early time and time again, if something comes out and it gets down to the wire of this announcement and they still haven't heard anything, any kind of confirmation, and it's a surprise to them, then it's probably more than likely nothing big. Because if it's something big, it's gonna be known. Will it be kept a secret? Sure. Maybe. But it's gonna be known. You notice that all of the directs that were leaked before, right before they were confirmed or announced, the same people have come in to say, yeah, you know, that's coming. That didn't happen this time. Because probably most of the information of this Direct Mini wasn't really worth getting hyped up about. I told you guys before, the same thing with the Nintendo Switch Pro rumors. If a certain group of people haven't heard anything, it's probably not happening anytime soon, at least. And you see what happened with the PlayStation Pro. The Nintendo Switch Pro. Where it's at? Exactly. But with these Nintendo Directs, hey, no one made you guys get hyped for this stuff. I mean, of course there's going to be fake leaks all the time for any direct. Like, I mean, there's a fake Nintendo Direct leak every week. Every week. So if you get hyped up for those, I mean, after all this time, I mean, it's kind of your fault, if we're being honest here. But pretty much, if something major is coming from Nintendo, people are going to hear about it beforehand. And there's a big chance that it will not only be heard about, but it will kind of be leaked, hinted at, or something along those lines. When you have something, announcement supposedly coming, and ain't nobody heard about it, that's because it probably ain't nothing big, to be honest here. Now, before the Nintendo Switch launched, and remember everybody was trying to pinpoint days when the Switch, then the NX, was going to be first shown, and everybody was so sure it was going to be this certain day, and then it wasn't, or this certain month actually. And I joked that, you know, Nintendo is so obsessed with surprising its fans and being unpredictable that they probably switch stuff up, no pun intended, sometimes at the last minute just to keep people guessing. Now, I think they actually do that crap. Especially when it comes to these Nintendo Directs, because they had a pattern going. Now everybody's trying to, everyone's trying to gauge when a Nintendo Direct's gonna come based on the past, and I'm pretty sure Nintendo doesn't like that at all. They don't want to be predictable, not even just to the fans, but to the competition. Why would they want Microsoft and Sony to be able to predict when they were going to announce games? Think about that for a second. Not just from a competition standpoint. Why would they want their competitors to be able to predict when and what they're going to announce? Which is why I said on Twitter earlier today, I think this was kind of this little mini direct. That was just a redirection. Okay. The Microsoft software only showcase is this week. Sony already pretty much, for the most part, we'll see, blew their load already on their reveal of the PlayStation 5. Now, did they show some great looking games? Yes. How many of those games are coming out this year? Not that many, right? So unless Sony has another conference, actually I think they're supposed to in August. As of now, what Sony showed for this year, as far as Nintendo is concerned, they don't have much to worry about yet. Now, Microsoft is about to have their games showcase. Right? Would it make sense for Nintendo to drop their heavy hitters in their reveals right before Xbox? Probably not. We don't know if they're going to show games that are coming out this year or 2 years from now. Well, I mean, some of the games like Halo is coming out this year, but the other stuff, they don't know. So honestly, it might be smart for Nintendo to wait until after to see how people react to that Xbox conference. And if they react to it positively, maybe they'll announce more stuff than they plan to. Who knows? But this pandemic has really screwed up everyone's plans. I mean, you guys know this. Like, a lot of people have had to work from home, the developers, publishers. So some things that were supposed to be announced or were in the plans to be announced have been put on hold. Some games have probably been delayed. But I'll tell you this. if the Xbox and the PlayStation 5 are actually still on track and actually really coming out this year, you can bet Nintendo has some software to counter it. Period. They definitely have something to counter that. Now, like I said, depending on what Microsoft shows and even what Sony shows, I guess, in August, hopefully Nintendo probably won't wait until August to announce their big stuff, because I'd be cutting it a little close, because I'm pretty sure they have some big stuff that's probably coming out as early as September. So August, that'd be cutting it a little trim. But once this Xbox conference happens, let's see what Nintendo does. Nintendo, a lot of times, is a reactionary company. And honestly, if we're being real here, because of this coronavirus and all this stuff going on, a lot of people are at home and they're buying everything, including game systems. So all these game systems, even though there was hardly been any games coming out, they've been selling out. So sadly, that kind of gives Nintendo a reason to not announce stuff, because the system's selling anyway. So they don't technically need to announce anything right now. But eventually they are going to have to, because these games are going to come out soon. So, I mean, that's the good part about it. Does it suck that they had a mini direct where people were waiting and salivating over new game announcements, and they had one? Yeah. But the good thing is they don't have too much time left. Like, they have to announce their big stuff. Like, there's not that many months left in the year. So that's a good thing. Now, what will they announce? Now, of course, as all these game systems, of course, some of the stuff has been leaked, but some of it has not. Nintendo always has some surprises up their sleeve. Always. So this year should be pretty interesting, to say the least. But for you guys that think Nintendo don't have nothing coming out just because they haven't announced it, like, that's silly. That's silly. You think that they're not gonna have any games to announce for the holidays, for the end of the year? Like, come on now. You gotta use your brain. But like I said, the element of surprise is very important to Nintendo. That's why I think that almost this obsession that we have with guessing when a Nintendo Direct's gonna be, maybe we should stop that, because it seems like they're getting annoyed. Seems like they're getting really annoyed by that, because seen a lot of times where things were definitely in plan, and then all of a sudden it's switched up. And I think that has a lot to do with Nintendo not wanting to be predictable. That Nintendo's unpredictability is a huge advantage for them. Actually, it's one of their main advantages that they have over Sony and Microsoft. Sony and Microsoft are completely predictable. Completely. And they're fine with that. Nintendo is not. Now, I think that's actually maybe a little obsession with Nintendo, and that might be, sometimes they might take it too far. But at the same time, when you get those surprise announcements, when you get those out of left field announcements, it makes it worth it. But yeah. So let's talk about insiders for a second, because people seem to think that just because they can't keep a secret that all insiders are fake. Look, maybe the reason why you guys don't believe in insiders is because you can't keep a secret. You can't fathom the idea of having big news and not being able to speak about it. Maybe that's the issue. But I'm seeing people bash people, even that get stuff right. So this Nintendo Direct Mini, this announcement and the date and the time of the announcement was leaked by one person. This person never said what was going to be in it, never said how long it was going to be, what it was going to be about, simply that there was going to be a Nintendo Direct today and that it was going to be announced at midnight. People are so mad at what was in the Direct that they're threatening and they're mad at this person. This person didn't promise you anything. Only thing they promised you was that there would be some form of a Nintendo Direct on July 20th, 2020. And there was. What the problem is? See, it's like I said before. Remember I made that video a few years ago about how people they beg for insiders to leak information and all this. They want all this stuff early, but when the information comes that and they don't like it, then they get mad at the person that they asked the information for. I mean, of course, there's people that pretend to be insiders and will make up fake stuff and it doesn't end up being true, and okay, fine. But don't get mad at people that leak information that's true just because you don't like what was leaked. Getting mad at people for telling the truth, that's silly. That's very silly. You guys are scaring these people away. You don't realize it, but you are. But I mean, I get it. With everything that's going on in the world right now, people just want some good news. They go to the video games and Nintendo and stuff to feel good, but not all news is good. Not all game news is good. And I mean, sometimes you guys have to have realistic expectations to things. Usually someone in the know is not gonna hype up something unless it's really worth hyping up. Now, there has been times where an announcement was supposed to happen at a certain time and was pushed back. Happens all the time. I mean, look what happened to me that E3 a couple years ago. I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a great E3, one of the best Nintendo E3s, and it wasn't, because they pushed back a bunch of games, and other games that they did announce were leaked beforehand. So what can you do? Does that mean that the person that presented the information was lying? No. I mean, things change. See, that's what you guys need to realize also, especially with this year. Things can change drastically without your, without your you don't have any control over that. So it's either sometimes report no information at all, or report information that's current and hope it doesn't change. See, people talk about how, oh man, you can see the doctor, he's rarely wrong about these things. Look, I'm just super careful. There has been a couple times where I heard some information and I was actually going to speak about it. And good thing I didn't, because it either changed or the game got canceled or something happened. And that would have messed up my record. Even though it was true, completely true. But in life, things change. Now, we need to talk about unrealistic expectations for a minute. Because, I don't know if some of you guys are serious with some of the stuff that you guys post, but come on. Like, it's every time a direct is mentioned, it's like everybody brings up like their fanboy dream list. They get disappointed and then they blame Nintendo. Stop doing that, okay? You guys got to be more realistic with your expectations for things. I know it's fun to be hyped up for everything, but a lot of times, most times, it ends in disappointment. Even if what you're presented with is actually really good, if you get that hyped up, you're going to be disappointed. That's actually why a lot of insiders actually purposely don't hype up something. Even though it's something big, they'll purposely deflate the hype just so you'll be surprised. Just so you'll be actually more hyped in the long run. I've seen quite a few people do this on purpose. Or they'll purposely throw you off the trail of something just so you'll be surprised when it gets announced. Like The Witcher 3. I'm not the only one that knew about The Witcher 3, buddy. But when it was announced, you were more surprised because, one, a lot of people didn't believe me. And I like that. I like that a lot of people didn't believe me. One, you had that seat and had those crow burgers, but also on the other end, you were more surprised. But see, that's what people don't realize about it. People say that they wanna know about things ahead of time. But you kind of don't. You may say that you do, but most of you guys don't. You don't want to know about things ahead of time. Because, one, it ruins the surprise for yourself. And two, the amount of patience that it takes to, one, keep it a secret, and sometimes, depending on what it is, keeping it a secret for years. Then you have people that just want to get information out of you, so they try to call you fake. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. That's why also, especially, honestly, you can tell the people that have early information by how they react to the announcements. Especially if they're like live streaming or something. If you see them, they're like, "Oh, see, that's cool." If they're not hyped for it, it's because they knew about it already. It's hard. Other than, see, that's the one thing about knowing about stuff ahead of time. Yes, you know about it ahead of time, but you know about it ahead of time, so that means that your excitement for it isn't as big as it would have been had it been a surprise. Yes, you get surprised, but of course by seeing the footage and stuff for the first time. But as far if it's just announced, just an announcement trailer, you're not going to be as hyped for it as you would have been if you hadn't known about it. So it's like, it's a catch-22 with that. You know about it early, but you're not going to be as excited for it because it wasn't a surprise. But I'm just rambling now here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section.